If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
What is up, everybody? Good evening. Happy, what is today? Tuesday. Football season's here. If you don't share my excitement, then what is going on? I mean, we've been waiting for this since January, so let's roll. I am your host, Mike McCoy, on Hurricane Watch on the Big O Network. Big O, first of all, thanks for the platform, man. Been waiting for this for a long time. Really excited. What can I say, man? Just a brief introduction of who I am. And again, thanks for listening. We're going to have some news on the Bethune game, on the upcoming, a recap on the Bethune game. We're going to talk about a little preview of the Southern Miss game. We're going to have Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel call in the next segment at about 8:20 to kind of talk about, his thoughts and what he saw, maybe a kind of insight, maybe what he got from coaches in the press conference. So for anybody that's been following me on Twitter, I appreciate that. UM_radio_Mike, UM grad, class of 2020. And been doing student radio for 4 years at the U, and then kind of jumped on with SiriusXM for a year over at Slam Radio down here in Miami. And here I am, right for State of the U, couple outlets, Miami Flow Media, and doing a little bit of producer work over with ESPN in West Palm. So sports is my life. Enough about me. Let's talk Canes. That's what everybody's here to do. So what did you guys think, man? Everybody's kind of halfway in, halfway out. Kind of jumping off of a building, off of one game. I pumped our brakes. I know we share a crazy passion here for Hurricanes football. I get that. But let's talk about quick reactions really quick about the Bethune game, all right? My first impressions, did what they were supposed to do, right? They looked like a top 15 team, all right? Am I going to put too much stock into the pluses and the minuses that we saw on Saturday? No. Maybe you could put a little bit more emphasis on them in a tougher opponent, coming into Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday in Southern Miss. They're going to have every reason to want to win that game. There's a particular player on that team that's going to really play balls to the wall. We'll talk about him in a little bit and in the next segment as well. But listen, we didn't punt. Sorry, not we. Miami didn't punt not once in the game, okay? They didn't punt not once, so you really can't grade out Lou Headley or anything like that or any punt coverage. But in terms of the special teams that we did see, let's start with special teams because they call it special teams for a reason. It's an integral part of the game. And honestly, when the Canes are the Canes, special teams is rocking. So Keyshawn Smith, there's a number of guys that could be back there returning the kick, right? Number of guys returning punts, number of guys returning kicks. Keyshawn Smith, not the guy I think that would be most explosive back there, but you see a little bit of patience when he runs the ball. Blocking was on point, and it looked organized. Okay, that's the thing that I took away from special teams. It looked organized, and that was the theme for me across the board on Saturday. Miami didn't just win the game because they were better than Bethune. They looked like they were well coached. They looked like they were in order. They looked like they knew where to go, who to block, their assignments, so on and so forth. Okay. Let's go ahead and move over to offense. I'm going to get deeper into it later on in the segment, but just a little skeleton kind of overhead view. There's nothing to talk about quarterback play. Really, do we really have to go there? I don't think we need to talk about the quarterback play over. I'm going to get into it later, but just like I said, a brief recap. Running backs, I was shocked at how hard they were running, okay? Because they were running like this was the last game of the season, like they needed to win a sixth game to get into a bowl game. Henry Parrish is looking like, why wasn't I coming here at a high school in the first place? All right. You look at that signing class and you think back, it was Rooster coming to Miami, Henry Parrish out of Columbus going to Ole Miss. And I can't remember if it was either Thad, if the chat can help me out, if it was either Thad or Don Chaney that it was in that same class. Miami has about 3 or 4 top running backs that year from South Florida on the same roster. And I'm looking at Henry Parrish run, and he reminds me a lot of Damian Berry just because of how hard he was running. He has a lot more wiggle than Damian Berry does, but just, that little patience before he sees something in the hole, and then he attacks it when he sees it. I love to see that. On offense, our left tackle Zion Nelson didn't play. A little bit about his status into next week. I'm going to kind of hop into that really quick. I was listening to Mario's press conference yesterday, and Zion is going to be available. I think that's going to help the offense out a lot because rotations change at that point, right? We're going to have rotations changing now that he's playing. Let me look up really quick because I have the starting offense right here with me. And here we go. So from left to right, if you guys didn't get to catch it, the offensive line went as follows. John Campbell started on your left side, protecting TVD's blind side, number 74. Left tackle. So then the left guard was Jalen Rivers. All right. Then Ja'Kai Clark started at center. He's also okay. He was banged up. I don't know if you guys noticed it. He seemed to be grimacing. I think it was his elbow. I'm not exactly sure. Let me not speculate. But I seen him grimacing, and then on the very next play, it seemed like it was hurting a little bit more, but he ended up staying in the game. Anyway, he started at center, number 53. Justice Oluwaseun, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the last name. Started at right guard, and then at right tackle was DJ Scaife. A lot of people were iffy on, him playing either guard or right tackle, what's his natural position. Seemed to hold it down just fine on Saturday. So that was the starting five from left to right: Campbell, Rivers, Clark, Oluwaseun, and Scaife. With Campbell playing on Saturday, and again, that was confirmed by Coach Mario Cristobal. Let me adjust my little camera here. Sorry about that. There we go. Sorry about that. So with the rotations being different now that Nelson's starting, I expect the starting rotation on the offensive line to look like this. This is just projected. Nothing has come out yet. And from left to right, I assume it to be Nelson. The middle is probably going to stay the same between Rivers and Clark. Oluwaseun will probably not be starting anymore. I'm assuming that Scaife is going to move inside, and then we'll have Campbell roll out to the right. We'll see. That's just a guess of mine. Other highlights from the press conference: Mara's in love with Inez Cooper, big old number 55, took over Navon Donaldson's number. They may look like the same guy because they're just huge, like 330 plus or maybe 350 plus, but Inez Cooper is 6'5", and he's pushing a good 330 pounds. And Mario is in love with him. He was beaming on Inez Cooper in his press conference yesterday. But other than that, the wide receivers really couldn't make a grade out of them, if you ask me, because Miami ran the hell out of the ball, guys. I mean, let's be honest. They ran the hell out of the ball, and I'm pulling up the box score in a second now for you guys. But that other than plays to Xavier Restrepo, everybody calls him Xavier Restrepo. I mean, there was really nothing, that I took from the game in terms of the receiver play. If you guys did, rest it in the chat. I'm not sure. But again, man, it was a good showing, just like Infamous said, against Cookman. You look like a top 15 team, and that's all you wanted to come up. We came out injury-free pretty much, and we're going to get better. We're going to get better in a week, okay, because we're playing a tougher opponent, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Miami. But coming into town is a team, and I know that this is just going to be a teaser for a little bit, is a team that is probably going to have a chip on their shoulder because they lost a heartbreaker against Liberty on Saturday in 5 overtimes. Number one, you come off a win like that, come off a game like that, you feel like you should have won. And, you're coming to make a statement in the next game. But little Frank Gore is over on the roster, and he is Mr. Do it all for Southern Miss. Yeah, that Frank Gore, number 32 and number 3 that he wore here at Miami, that guy, Coral Gables Senior High School, coached under Coach Joe Montoya. Incredible program they had going there. His son, yeah, that guy, the NFL's 3rd leading rusher of all time. His son is going to go ahead and suit up against Daddy's alma mater. Makes you kind of wonder what where Daddy's allegiances are going to lie come Saturday. That's going to be interesting. If anybody has a chance to maybe tweet at Frank Gore or ask him, some reporter maybe could ask him, that's going to be interesting. I wonder if he's going to have that split jersey with, half Miami, half Southern Miss. But in any event, Look out for Frank Gore Jr. He does literally everything. He throws the ball, he catches the ball, he runs the ball very well. Tough runner, hard nosed guy. I mean, look at his bloodline. He gets it from daddy. So I'm excited to see that game, and I'm excited to see Miami have to step up everything in terms of competition. So a little bit of what they kind of run over there in Southern Miss. Uh, it's a mix of every type. They run like a mix between like a wing T and kind of like an old school type of triple wishbone option. It's you got to play your assignments. All right. So we're going to see how well Miami's line is coached on that. And my bet is, Miami's going to do a good job with their assignments, fill their lanes, and we'll see. Another note on the defense, I wanted to go back and kind of touch on defense is guys that really didn't have a lot of snaps. So first and foremost, Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson only had, I want to say, 15 or 16 snaps on Saturday, but he registered, I want to say it was like 5 tackles. On Saturday. So his production was there on only 16 snaps. You don't normally hear this when it comes from coaches on the defensive side of the ball, but it kind of makes you wonder if Miami was just kind of saving some stuff, like the exotic blitzes. They didn't want to show that. And listen, this is one thing I love about Miami's defense, okay? In football, no matter what level you play, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, I believe that one of the things that you need on your team is versatility and guys that can be interchangeable defensively, all right? A lot like basketball, like there's 4 things I say that you need in basketball to win in the playoffs, and those things are rebounding, half-court offense, being interchangeable defensively, and I forget what my other one was. Terrible, I can't remember that. But football is in the same way that you need to be interchangeable defensively. So what am I trying to say? Tay only had 15, 16 snaps, if that. Mainly when James Williams was in the game, I love him when he's at safety. A lot of people feel that he should go down in the box and play linebacker. I get it, but I want to see my 6'5", 20-pound guy that moves like the wind man the safety spot. That's what I want to see personally. All right. So I'm thinking that we're going to see a little bit more of zero lining up closer to the line. And just because of who Miami's playing, that you're going to have to play assignment football. And listen, pulling up this box score really quick, I want to let you know that Southern Miss threw for a total of, I have it right here. Sorry about that. Boom. Southern Miss threw for 13 attempts, threw the ball 13 times. Okay, their starting quarterback threw the ball 8 times. And then Frank Gore Jr. threw the ball 4 times, guys. He actually completed a pass for 48 yards. So there's going to be trickery in the offense, but they threw the ball a total of 13 times. The team's going to run the ball. Again, you can't really put an emphasis on how many times they ran the ball because the game did go into 5 overtimes. But if you want to go ahead and get that stat, 54 rushes in all on 252 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Frank Gore, by the way, had 178 of those yards, 32 carries. The kid can play. He had 2 touchdowns, and he has a big heart. 5'8", all 195 of them, okay? Has a big heart. But going back to the defense, what I wanted to say about James Williams and, the defense in all is that Miami has a bunch of interchangeable parts. I mean, leading up to the season, I remember people talking about Chase Smith wanting to see him at striker. Now we call that the star, okay? You look at James Williams can go ahead and, be in the box, can line up out there. But since Tay didn't play that much, I'm assuming he's going to get more snaps. I'm not an insider. This is me. This is what I like about not being an insider, okay? People can't get on you for being wrong. And I know certain people, but then I get to put my own look onto it, go by what they tell me, go by what I see, and I kind of get to put it together. So without anybody telling me anything, okay, and only knowing that Tay Williams had 15 to 16 snaps, I'm assuming he's going to play more because we got to start ramping it up for the next week, all right? I don't want to get too ahead for Texas A&M, but that's got to be a thing, all right? Miami's got to get used to again, some guys, and that's why I think it's very important that Zion is playing. Rooster's also coming back. All right, Rooster's coming back. That was confirmed by Coach Cristobal in yesterday's press conference. And I don't know, guys, but you guys realize that that's kind of a big thing with Rooster coming back. And I say that because you remember what the offense looked like last year before he came back? His suspension, I believe it was for 4 games, and I want to say his first game back was either the UVA game or the NC State game. If the chat can help me out, I can't recall. But what was I going to say? Yes. So that's going to help the offense big time. Number one, you're getting snaps for a left tackle, which has experience. Remember, Zion Nelson's first game was against, I can't remember the defensive end's first name, but I remember his last name, Zuniga. 2019, left tackle. That's your first start. You got to block that guy. The guy was like an All-American rusher. So it wasn't fair. So the guy definitely has the experience, okay? And then Rooster being in the backfield, I'm wondering who's going to start. If it's one of those things that the coaches, and I hope it's this way. In that, you know what? Yeah, Rooster, you didn't play, but we're going to ride the hot hand. Henry looked great. And if you really pay attention to what the coach is saying in the press conference, you can rip up this depth chart. It really doesn't matter. Because it's about snaps and about who's finishing the game and about who is riding the hotter hand, whether it be on offense, defense, whatever the case is. But I'm interested to see how that rotation goes now that Rooster's going to be playing. Again, that was confirmed by Coach Cristobal yesterday. We're going to see Parrish. Thad looked good. Even the walk-ons and the preferred walk-ons in the back was Terrell Walden, the second. I don't know if it's a second or junior. However, I don't know if you guys remember, his dad went to Edison Senior High School, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, was a cornerback, was like the fastest player in Miami-Dade County, ran track as well. His son wears number 20, which is what Terrell Walden played, which is the number he wore when he played here in Miami. But yeah, they all ran hard. Perry ran hard, and you love that. And I'm wondering, there's trust when it comes to, offensive line play and running back play, and that's just one thing that I see in this team already that is just from the outside looking, and I have not stepped foot inside the Sulphur practice facility since they've been practicing or anything close to the team in the locker room since, Mario took over. But hearing what the coaches are saying, hearing how the players are talking, there's just a renewed sense of just and it's great to see as a fan and a spectator. But we're gonna step away really quick. We'll be right back. You're listening to Mike McCoy on Hurricanes Watch on the Big Old Network, and we'll be right back.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Miami Hurricanes Watch with Mike McCoy on the Big O Network. So, it won't be a show without a guest. It won't be a show without a guest who knows what he's talking about. And he really needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway because, you know, it's a cool thing to do. But of the Sun Sentinel, Miami Hurricanes beat writer Adam Lichtenstein, we are welcoming him to the show right now. And just waiting for Adam to come on here for a second. In the meanwhile, here he is.
What's going on, guys? It's the C-Man. It looks like we might have lost Mike, so give me one moment. I'll get him right back up here with Adam so we can get that Canes talk. Give us one moment and we'll get everything squared away.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Thank you for your patience on that little bit of technical difficulties that we had there. Sorry about that. But we're back with Hurricanes Watch on Big O's network. And just got to say a big old thank you to Adam Lichtenstein, who's taking the time out of his busy evening to join us with the Sun Sentinel. Adam, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. And got a fantasy draft in about 45 minutes. So, definitely got lots of stuff going on tonight, obviously.
Oh, man. Well, even bigger thanks, because that's definitely important. I appreciate that. I'm only going to take about 15 minutes of your time again. Thank you. But
it's all good.
Pretty general question just to start things off. From the outside looking in, before even talking to the coaches post-game or listening to what Mario had to say yesterday, what were your overall takeaways from the game, good, bad, or ugly, Adam?
Well, they only scored 70 points, so obviously they played terribly. No, they look pretty good. I mean, like I think you were saying earlier, you know, they did what you want them to do against an FCS team like Bethune-Cookman. They put up 70 points. The defense, not perfect, but overall pretty solid. So overall, I mean, look good, a solid, A-. I think, a few little things here and there they could fix, but, overall, pretty good game. Everything you want to see from them.
What do you say, and thank you for that, what do you say to the fan looking at the game from the outside in that says, okay, so we knew what the issues with certain players were when they get in the open field, maybe have, stutter stepping and not being able to finish a play with a tackle, or not trusting their keys and not trusting their training in terms of cornerback play. What do you say to the fan that says, okay, this person started, I didn't think they were going to start this year or next game. This staff strikes me as a type of staff that's not going to let things roll over if mistakes are repeated over and over and over again. So what do you say to the fan that's worried about the guys that that maybe he didn't want starting. I hate to throw names out, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Everybody has had something to say about DJ Ivy. I'm still a fan of his because, I mean, he looks the part, and by all intents and purposes, the guy does what he has to do at practice. It's just there's a certain block when he gets into the game. I don't know what it is. Corey Flagg, for as many things as people had to say about him after the game, was one of the defensive players at the game. So what do you have to say to that fan that has something to say about those two players?
Well, I definitely agree with you when you say, this coaching staff's not going to just start players or put them in just because. If they're not getting the job done, I don't think they'll see their snaps reduced. They're not going to start.
Right.
DJ Ivy, he had a few missteps last week. I think they're pretty high on him. Mario Cristobal's kind of raved about him a bit during camp. So I mean, I don't think they're going to bench him, after last week, but something to keep an eye on. And then he said Corey Flagg. I know people were seemed like people were getting on him a bit on social media, but like you said, they named him one of the defensive players of the game. If you check some of the advanced metrics, Pro Football Focus graded him out pretty solid. I think I was looking at it earlier, like a 75 out of 100 overall, like on defense, like
right.
Not an amazing game, but a solid game. I mean, I was looking it up the other day, and like some linebackers got targeted on for some passes, and they surrendered most of them. I think it was like 7 out of 9 passes targeted at linebackers were completed. So room for improvement, like I said earlier,
Right.
certainly not perfect, but not egregiously bad.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, again, it's just a lot of, depending on what you read and who you ask, certain staffs, or the previous staff, I should say, seem to be set on playing certain guys that either weren't improving, or when the younger guys were stepping up, there was injuries, and then the younger guys would step up last year, and then it was kind of like an outcry from social media: play certain guys. You saw what happened, and then it went on a little run there last year. So I wanted to ask you about the running back rotation. What do you expect in terms of, and again, I know starting isn't really a thing on this team, because Coach Steele even said in his press conference yesterday, you could really rip up a depth chart on this team. But what do you make of Rooster being healthy, and what do you think that'll do to the rotation?
It obviously definitely helps that he's healthy. I mean, they came into their week 1 game with 2 scholarship running backs healthy. That's not what you want.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess, we're a couple days out, I don't think he plays a ton. I think they want to ease him in. Because he went through pregame warmups on Saturday, and they didn't feel confident in him going. They want to keep him healthy, so they didn't play him. So it wouldn't shock me if you only see him get 5, 10, a dozen snaps or so. Get a handful of carries just so they can kind of ease him back into things. I mean, they're going to take every game seriously, but it is Southern Miss. It's not Texas A&M yet, so I think they're going to want to kind of ease him into the game. I could be wrong. They haven't said specifically like that. They're definitely going to, keep him super limited. But I do think, kind of like Will Mallory last week, they'll kind of have him on a pitch count where he's going to play only a certain number of snaps, and then they'll maybe intersperse it throughout the game. We'll see how the game goes. If they're up 50-0 in the beginning of the fourth quarter, then he's not going to play. But I'm sure he'll get some snaps early in the game. Assuming there's no setbacks with his injury or anything.
Right.
And they'll mix him in, but I think you'll see Henry Parrish and Thad Franklin get a lot of the snaps again.
I mean, the goal is to be up big time by halftime so that they don't even have to play more than what they're supposed to. But in terms of, because coaches have to say things like this because you want to focus and be 1-0 every week and focus on the task at hand. Monday, we handle what we need to handle at practice on Monday through Thursday, Fridays, whatever day, and then game day. But do you kind of get the sense that the coaches, maybe not so much the players, but the coaches, they're not talking about TAM or ATM, I should say, but that they're kind of gearing for them, or, in the way that they're kind of working guys back, or maybe kind of prepping for certain things, or leaving things out defensively and or offensively? Do you get that vibe, or are they stead on what the task is at hand?
Oh, it's funny. My wife kind of asked me, I was talking to her on the way down to Miami this morning, and I was like, yeah, she's like, why don't you ask them about A&M? And I'm like, they're not going to talk about A&M. They're so focused on just like taking it a week at a time. And I'm like, and that's what you have to do. Because you don't want to end up on SportsCenter leading off the show, Southern Miss upsets Miami because they're focused on the next week.
Yep.
Everyone, they're college guys. They might, start thinking about it. But I think the coaching staff's going to work really hard to kind of keep them focused. Like I said, keep it, like you said, one game at a time, focus on Southern Miss, because you don't want to get upset And
No.
imagine what happens then if, they lose 28-27 at home to Southern Miss, and
No.
all of a sudden everyone's in a panic. So I think they're pretty focused. Try not to let their minds wander too much.
Let's and by the way, we're joined by Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel. You're listening to Miami Hurricanes Watch on the Big O Network. I'm your host, Mike McCoy. Thanks, Adam, for coming on. Going to have Adam just for a few more minutes. He has a fantasy draft to tend to, guys, and I'm wasting his time right now. So he has a lot more important things to get to. He's got to get that money. But Adam, in terms of focus, all right, because we've seen teams in the past, and I know it's only one game. I get it, okay, but I'm an alum. I'm a fan. I can do this. I can look at it. I'm not playing. Miami takes game 2, right? They go into game 3. I don't want to overlook that one, but let's say they, 2-0, go into Texas A&M. They have this top 15 ranking. Okay, cool. Or 15th in the country. Cool. The focus that's on the team. Can you kind of describe how that is if you had a chance to be around it, talking to the players or hearing them talk, or the coaches, what they've had to say about it? The focus going into, because we've seen teams in the past, Miami, the media's kind of riding them. Some experts in the media pick Miami to finish in the top 4 going into the college football playoff. Can you kind of talk about what the difference do you think, or do you see that coaches are doing? Because we've seen teams in the past, they get their heads up and then they have a letdown loss. So what do you see in terms of focus getting ready for the next game?
Well, I think if anyone can keep a team focused, I think it's probably Mario Cristobal. That's just a vibe I get. Like, since he's kind of gotten there, and since I've gotten there, because I only started on the beat in January, it just seems like everyone's so laser focused on the culture he's preaching. The players are like, they what's the word? They recite the same things. They repeat the same things that he preaches. They say the same phrase. How you do anything is how you do everything. We've heard that so many times. So I think if anyone's going to keep them focused and kind of keep them from getting too big of a head or anything, it'll be Mario Cristobal. I mean, you saw, I'm sure, after Cam Kitchen's pick the other day. I
was going to ask you about that.
He picks out a pass, which is great, and he made an amazing play. I mean, that's like looked like a center fielder out there, making a dive and catch. And what does Mario Cristobal do? He lets the whole defense hear it, because he spiked the football and got a penalty, and that lost him 15 yards. And you do it against Bethune-Cookman, it's not that big of a deal. Do it against A&M at Kyle Field, it could be a big problem. So I think, like I said, if anyone can kind of keep them, on task, on focused, it'll be him.
Staying on that, because I was going to ask you about accountability next. I mean, was like music to my ears, or whatever the comparison is in terms of a visual. But I didn't catch it, but I think it was on a 3rd down conversion, one of those 3rd and longs that Bethune converted on, or it could have been a touchdown that they scored. I heard that, again, I didn't see it, that Kevin Steele ringed into, the defense. So if that happened, or when it happened, I didn't see it. Mario, what you just talked about, accountability, like that's something that we didn't see in the last regime or for a long time. And it's like, okay, you're a head coach. You are allowed to get into your players' faces. You don't got to be disrespectful with it, but you're allowed to get into that. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I wanted to ask you about that throw that TVD made that was just an NFL throw to Xavier Restrepo. Like, tell me how you kind of saw that, because it was great protection, and all of that. But what Tyler Van Dyke brings to that team is this. He hasn't taken a leadership role yet in terms of being vocal. He's not that vocal leader. I heard he's trying to do that. But in terms of leading by example, is it his team? Is this a thing that the offense is behind him and the defense is behind their guy? Or is this his team?
That's an interesting question. We haven't really talked to a lot of the defensive guys about that. I think the offense is definitely like his offense. He's that leader on that offense. For the whole team, I can't say for sure. I don't want to say like he definitely is or he isn't, because I don't really know. But he had some great throws the other day. Didn't get the chance to air it out very often. And when he did, he looked pretty good. Only had 3 incompletions and 2 of those were throwaways. So can't really say much bad about his day. And made some great throws. I was joking with another reporter during practice today. He made a really nice throw in practice, and I was like, that's why they call him Tyler Van Dimes. Like he can make those NFL type throws. He can make those big time throws. Like, he's definitely capable of it.
And Miami has Miami has a capable backup in Jake Garcia, who went 8 of 8. I like the fact that he was able to keep the pressure on him, if there is any. I mean, Tyler probably doesn't sense any pressure, but I remember when that whole Jake Garcia hype train was building up on Twitter, and Jake Garcia to the U and all of that stuff, my first impression or my first thought was Tyler's not going to have that. Tyler's not going to have it because at that point he was 1 year at Miami. I think it was like he was redshirted if I'm not mistaken or whatever the case was. But he came in with not so much fanfare, but depending on who you talk to in the program, he was that guy. Like the players knew, like, this is going to be our future quarterback. This is the guy. This is it. This is it. This is it. And so I'm just wondering, like, if there's any type of like, what's their relationship?
As far as I know, I mean, they have a good relationship. When we ask Tyler about Jake, we'll ask Jake about Tyler, and they had nothing but positive things to say about each other. And I do think, like you said, it's kind of good to have that little bit of pressure. Like, hey, I can't, slack off. I can't play horribly. I don't think Tyler Van Dyke's going to get benched if he has a bad game. But, I mean, it's good to have that, to know that, like, there's somebody behind you who can play and is capable. And he looked really good on Saturday. He had one pass, just like a bullet. I don't remember who he threw it to. May have been Brashard Smith, but I could be wrong. Which is like a bullet. And I'm like, that's an impressive throw. I was in the press box. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me take notice of that. We'll be seeing that probably next year a lot more. But I definitely think they have a good relationship. And it's good to have, I've covered teams in the past. I covered Florida for a year when I was in college where there was nobody behind the starter. And it actually ended up being really problematic for them because their first two quarterbacks got hurt. But that's another story. It's definitely good to have depth at quarterback is what I'm saying. And it's definitely good to have that pressure a little bit.
Yeah, man, he had that throw to X that was ended up being like a 51-yarder. And that touchdown pass to Redding was just, I can't believe he got it in there to that tight window. Yeah. But that's pretty much it, man. I wanted to ask you definitely a couple more questions, but we're running out of time. I could definitely have a Hurricanes beat writer on the line with me for a long time. But you have a fantasy draft to tend to, so I get it. But Adam, man, I appreciate your time. I hope it's not the last time you join us on the show.
Yeah, man, anytime. And going into the draft with no prep, that's how I like to do it, and I usually end up at least getting my money back. So it's worked out for me so far.
All right, cool. Draft some Canes for us.
Yep.
All right, have a good night, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So that was Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel, beat writer for the Miami Hurricanes. And before we go on our break here, I just wanted to share some breaking news. So on Tuesday, September the 20th, from 7 to 8 p.m., we're going to have a college football roundtable right here, all right, on this network, right here, talking Canes, Seminoles, and those other guys up north, those Gators. I like to call them the Lizards, but it's okay, whatever. I'm a Cane. Adam, I'm sorry. I know you're a UF guy and you're a grad, but we're gonna have a roundtable with three of the best insiders, in the business. Manny Navarro with the Athletic, Irish O'Fell with War Chant, and Kevin Brockway with the Gainesville Sun. All right, that's September 20th from 7 to 8, and of course every week right here on the Big O channel, Miami Hurricanes Watch with Miami football is going to be myself, Mike McCoy, from 8 to 9 p.m. And then we'll have guests every week as well. Got Lance Leggett lined up for next week. That's confirmed. So I'm glad about that. But now we're going to go ahead and step away after that breaking news, and we'll be back on the other side. I'll see you then.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
We are back here on Miami Hurricanes Watch with myself, Mike McCoy, on the Big O Network. Thanks for sticking around with us if you've been with us throughout the entirety of the show. We just had Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel with us in the last segment, and he talked about his, observations of Bethune-Cookman, what he, his takeaways, coaches, what they had to say in the press conferences regarding player performance, what have you. Talked a little bit about Southern Miss. So we're going to talk about all of that, and then we're going to talk about some more. So the first thing I really want to get into, and by the way, again, thanks for tuning in. We'll be off in a few minutes at 9:00. I really wanted to talk about this offense for a second, because I'm not breaking any news here, but I think it's very, very obvious that Canes fans have nothing to worry about in terms of productivity, points scored, moving the ball, or any type of production. All right, I am not basing this off of one performance, Bethune-Cookman. I am not doing that. Let me tell you why I feel that way. I may be in the minority. I don't think I am, but you never know. I've always felt that the quarterback position is a position that's obviously the most important, the most important position on any football team, correct? Well, I've always felt that great quarterbacks, I'm talking about great quarterbacks, if you truly are a great quarterback, they make decent, average, so-so receivers look good, okay? They make those types of receivers look better than what they really are. And although it happens, in my opinion, it doesn't really happen as much the other way around, that a great receiver would make a quarterback look good. What am I talking about? I'll get to my point. We don't need to see Miami's receivers being Superman. We really don't need to see that. And I'm going to tell you why. There was a big emphasis on, drop passes last year, right? It was so bad that, remember, Manny Diaz went ahead and opened up the wide receiver competition in the middle of the season. You remember that? I do. So, and that's when guys like Brinson and Brashard Smith and so on and so forth, they started to come along. We started to see what they were capable of. Well, Miami has a great quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke. And if you didn't see the game, again, I get the competition, but I'm going back to last year as well. And I saw what I had to see. All right. I saw what I had to see in a season in which he almost saved an offensive coordinator and a head coach's job, because that's what TVD did last year. But great quarterbacks make decent receivers look great. Okay. So, and I have a couple examples about that. Remember Eli, when he was throwing to David Tyree, Steve Smith that went to USC? Who else was on that team? Plaxico Burress was probably the number one guy. Amani Toomer. He won a Super Bowl with those guys. Tom Brady won Super Bowls with Troy Brown. Troy Brown played both ways. Troy Brown played cornerback and had 3 interceptions in one season. All right. Deion Branch, he won Super Bowls with those guys. Yes, Randy Moss, but see what happens when a great receiver gets with a great quarterback? Fireworks, okay? Miami doesn't need that, and that's why I think Miami's offense is going to be really, really good. Heck, you look at the greatest team to ever play in the game, all right? Dolphin 82 is a Gators fan, sorry, but you look at the best team to ever play college football, even that team's receivers wasn't loaded. You had one guy to worry about, one guy that really made defensive coordinators made him have nightmares, and that was Andre Johnson. Kevin Beard wasn't wasn't making anybody lose any sleep. Neither was Jason Gather. Solid guys, but they didn't even make it to the pros, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody help me out in the chat if I'm wrong about that. The only other guy you may have had to do some homework on and worry about was Roscoe Parrish because of his deep speed, but he didn't even play that year. He was redshirted in 01. All right, Ethnic Sands. Daryl Jones was the speedster on that team, but what I'm comparing TVD to is a safety that cleans everything up on the back end of a defense when everything else breaks down. Okay. If anything happens wrong on that offense, or Tyler Van Dyke can be able to make the play something out of nothing. All right. He has the wheels. Reference that Virginia rushing touchdown he had last year in I think it was a Thursday night game, the game that Andy missed the field goal. Okay. That game. So that's what I'm comparing Tyler to, a safety net. He is a guy that, you got to keep him upright, okay? And with the offensive line coach and Alex Mirabal, Miami has 2 offensive line coaches, by the way, if you didn't know that, a head coach and obviously the offensive line coach, that they believe in the same thing. They play high school football together, guys. They play high school. They know each other like they're back of their own hands. So they have the same philosophy. And you're talking about a guy that has put first rounders in the league. In Alex Mirabal. So I trust the coaching. All right. Now, is the talent what we thought what it was when they were recruited? Because Miami has not recruited scrubs at that position. We'll see. But I'm trying to talk about Tyler Van Dyke here. That's what I compare him to. You remember what Miami's secondary looked like once Redwine and Jaquan Johnson left? It's because they were a big part of that. They cleaned up everything in front of them. Missed tackles by linebackers if there were any. All right, missteps by the cornerbacks if there were any. Okay, Tyler Van Dyke's going to be able to see something that he doesn't like, change out of it, audible out of it. I'm assuming he has that freedom, which I believe Gaddis is giving him that freedom to make his own calls and things of that nature. So I just watching him on Saturday, and again, not talking about the competition, it was just a nice, healthy reminder. And if worse comes to worse, he can make. You saw that heavenly completion that he had to X, that 51-yarder. I couldn't believe it. It was on the money. His deep field accuracy is insane. It's insane. But I just wanted to point that out because, again, I'm a believer in that great quarterbacks make average receivers look better than what they are, and Miami doesn't need a Herculean effort out of their receivers every game. All right, because they're literally going to have the ball in their hands. All they got to do is turn their head around. So shout out to TVD. One of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Some other positives and negatives I took out of the game. I think some positives are that Caleb and Tay didn't play much. I really think that's positive because, like I mentioned a couple segments ago, being that they didn't play, there's a lot that I want to go ahead and say, not that Kevin Steele came out and said it. You hear offensive coaches say this all the time. Oh, well, we didn't show much, but I really doubt that, they were throwing the whole defensive playbook at Bethune. They were probably just kind of keep it vanilla. They are going to have to work on containment because that's one thing that Coach Steele was referencing in his press conference. So the fact that Caleb Johnson, the UCLA linebacker transfer, didn't play as much, not sure how much that had to do with the production of, the linebacker play. But hey, Corey Flagg was a defensive player of the game along with can't remember. I believe it was. I'm gonna look it up. It was Akeem Mesidor, another transfer, another interchangeable part, something that Miami's gonna need to be successful this season. So I think it's a positive and a negative that those two didn't play. They're gonna have to clean up, the quarterback leaks and all of that stuff. But Mario did mention that the cornerback play was hot and cold, so that's something to keep an eye on. All right. Let me go ahead and pull up the defensive starters because for anybody that didn't catch it, because if I'm not mistaken, Mario didn't release a depth chart up until game day a couple minutes before or whatever it was. So I'm going to start on the defensive line. Akeem Mesidor, who was one of the defensive players of the game, one of those interchangeable parts, started outside, but can definitely play inside if needed. All right. Leonard Taylor, and next to him was Daryl Jackson, the transfer from Maryland. And then he had Jafari Harvey starting, number 12. Mitchell Lagude got in some snaps as well, the 6-year redshirt senior. At star was DeCorey Couch. The two linebackers were Flagg and Steed. We're going to see a lot more of Basaint. Miami's going to need to have a lot more speed on the field, okay? Because I think it's at this point, I believe it's if you see flag on the field, if you see certain linebackers on the field, they're going to probably want to attack him with the pass. So we'll see. But DJ Ivy started at one corner with Tyreek, who got kind of. I'll say this on that play that Tyreek got left. That was like one of Bethune's fastest players, if not their fastest player. And Tyreek was right there on his hip. Okay, he was a step behind him, at least made the tackle, right? So we'll see. And then the safeties were Kinchins and Agent Zero, James Williams, my favorite player on the team. But there's going to be a lot of Al Blaze. There's going to be a lot of Avante Williams. Again, a lot of interchangeable parts on defense, guys. Tyreek can play on the inside at that star position. Caleb Johnson can play either linebacker spot, if you ask me. He could even put his hand out in the dirt. I doubt that's going to happen. But with Tay getting more snaps, we might see James Williams moving closer or manning that star position against a run-heavy team, which is what Southern Miss is, and we're going to get into that right now. I already mentioned how – let me pull that up here. Have the final score of their game right here. So Frank Gore Jr., here we go. And again, he had 32 carries on 178 yards against Liberty. They lost 27-29. It was a home loss. Really, really unfortunate. But this team, I mean, look, if anybody remembers how boring watching Miami play those Paul Johnson coached Georgia Tech teams was, I don't think it's going to be that boring, honestly, because I think they're going to be a lot more creative. All right, I think there's going to have a lot more wrinkles. Will Hall, their coach, that's a creative offensive mind. I was reading some interviews about guys that have worked with him in the past, and I get it. There's not really how much creative can you be if you only throw the ball 13 times a game, which is what they did in a game that featured 5 overtimes. I get it, but it's not like if what they were doing was broken. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Again, they ran for as a team 252 yards. All right, that's 4.7 a pop, 54 carries. The long was 46 yards with Frank Gore Jr., but that's Mr. Do-It-All right there. I hate to say you stop one guy and you stop the offense, but that seems to be the case. And I'm sorry, I have to correct myself. That game went 4 overtimes for Southern Miss and Liberty. But Frank Gore Jr., I hate to say this, using that phrase where you stop him, you stop everything, but that kind of seems like the case here. Their quarterback is 4 of 8, 89 yards, 2 interceptions. Doesn't really seem to be the thrower that you'd want, as a starting quarterback. But this is the type of game that strikes me as the following: you get them in 3rd and long, it's over. It's over. It's kind of like those Georgia Tech teams that had the Calvin Johnsons and the Demaryius Thomases. This team doesn't necessarily have that. Okay, if they did, they wouldn't be playing for Southern Miss. But that's kind of the thing here. Play your keys defensively. All right, know your keys. Trust your help where it's supposed to be. And I think I want to stress that. And the reason I want to stress that is because Mario stressed it. I was listening to a press conference in which he had throughout the summer, sometime in summer conditioning, and or it might have been one of the first practices of fall ball. And he was saying the defenses can play or do play a lot faster when you don't have to think because you know where your help is. All right. And that's something that he wanted to get Miami's defense to play like. He knows what Miami football is like. I mean, we're talking about a guy that lived it, coached it. Okay. This is a guy that has tutelage from Butch Davis. Okay. A guy that helped recruit some of the best players ever to form the greatest team of all time. So he knows what it's going to take, and he knows you got to be disciplined. And my favorite thing about the staff, and I'm going to harp on it because I think it's something that it's not going to fail Miami fans, is that if something isn't working, whether it be a play or a player, it's going to get adjusted. And it's going to get adjusted in that half, maybe in that series. It's not going to take a week or two or a game or two to fix. All right. So, yeah, look for that. I think that we're going to see a lot of rotations on the defensive line because of the simple fact that they are interchangeable. Let me bring up the roster really quickly. Let me just remind you how interchangeable Miami's defensive line is. I'm not going to go ahead and talk about the entire defense, but just their defensive line. Let me tell you how many guys can play inside and outside on that line. Akeem Mesidor can play inside and outside. Chance Williams can play inside on the third and obvious passing down. Elijah Roberts, jack of all trades. He's a guy that can play inside and outside, in my opinion. Jared Harrison Hunt, maybe a little bit. Antonio Moultrie for sure. I'm sorry, not Adam. Jacob Lickenstein for sure can. Who else? Jafari Harvey, pretty much one-dimensional guy. Mitchell Agude is a guy, 6'4", 255, that can play inside and outside. That's a lot of confusion you can throw at a quarterback. A lot of confusion you could throw at an offensive coordinator, because if I know that this is my defensive end, the heck is he doing standing up right now? Like, what's going on? Is he going to drop out of coverage? Quarterback has to process all that stuff. I'm not breaking any news. You guys are football guys. You know what's going on. I'm not going to tell you how to evaluate the game. I'm just saying Miami has a lot of interchangeable parts to make life a living hell on Saturday for a Southern Miss offense that is a predominantly heavy, run-heavy offense. A lot of trickery, again, it's just, I think the emphasis on Miami's practices this week, again, without speaking to anybody, is know your keys, trust the guys behind you, and don't try to be Superman. Don't try to make that extra play. If your key is the quarterback, you stay with the quarterback. Okay, Stacy's going to come over the top, or the star is going to come over and go ahead and wipe that out. Miami does that, it should be a convincing victory. I don't want to go ahead and predict, because every time I do, it doesn't turn out well. And I like to see these Canes do well as an alum, as a lifelong fan. That's what I want to see. But the key to the game to me is defense. All right, I'm never going to have to worry about Miami scoring this season, especially because of what they have at quarterback. All right, the running game seems to be something that's here to stay in terms of depth. All right, especially with Miami picking up Lucius Stanley, who's a guy that I really like. He had limited action. It was weird to see him in the game, and I'll tell you why. Because, I don't know how accurate these rumors are, being that he did play, but I thought I heard somewhere that he had suffered some type of hamstring kind of setback throughout the week. And if he did, it was obviously nothing. But I did hear that somewhere. Again, maybe it just wasn't accurate at all. But with him, and then obviously, the injuries that Miami had to Chaney, don't know how significant that is. And then, of course, Trevante Citizen, who's probably I forget which one is expected back later this season. I'm getting my wires crossed here. But in any event, wondering really quick before we leave here, if there's any questions in the chat that maybe I could entertain. Go ahead. Got 4 more minutes before we go ahead and sign off on this inaugural show of the Miami Hurricanes Watch with myself, Mike McCoy, on the Big O network. And that's pretty much it, man. There's really nothing else to really focus on. Don't focus. Try not to, as a fan, focus so much on what the offense is going to do, because I think this game's all about the defense. All right, you know that Miami's going to run the ball, or try to run the ball on every opponent. Okay, have a balanced offense, because that's what they believe in. Gaddis loves using his tight ends. Shout out to Will Mallory, was taking crap a lot less, warranted, because he had some drops that throughout his career that have plagued him. But this is a guy that this is my favorite stat, or favorite thing to say, not so much a stat. This is my favorite thing to say about Will Mallory. Did you know that as a senior in high school, he wasn't 240 or whatever he's wearing right now? He was more along the 215, 220 range. But did you know this is a man that participated in the state final in the 100-meter hurdles? I'm sorry, but at 6'4", 6'5", running the 110-meter hurdles, and you finished 3rd in the state meet. He went to school in Florida, guys. All right, he went to school in Florida, in Jacksonville. Florida's known for what? For speed. Even up the road in Jacksonville, that's what they're known for. He finished 3rd in that meet. This is a guy that has the goods. Okay, Will Mallory is one of my favorite players on the team, so shout out to him for making an impact on the game on Saturday. So that's pretty much it, man. Defense is the name of the game. Get in, get out, get off the field on 3rd downs. And Miami has that. On Saturday, Miami should be enjoying the second half, much like they did this past Saturday against Bethune. And my favorite part of Canes games is where I can see the backups play. Okay, I love that. Again, shout out to the backup running backs who did their thing. Terrell Walden II. Perry also ran hard, and that's what we want to get to. We want to see more Jake Garcia. The goal, guys, this season is to look so good offensively that Gaddis is offered another job by the end of the season. So that's where I'm at. Don't really have anything much more to say. I would if there was less or more than a minute on the clock. But for now, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you tuning into the inaugural episode of Miami Hurricanes Watch with Mike McCoy. Same time, same place next week. We'll have Lance Leggett joining us. Stay safe, everybody.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.